The truth is, many people don't dare to say they don't like you. Instead, they often hide their true feelings behind fake smiles, empty compliments, and forced politeness. I've been there, thinking someone is my best friend, only to find out that they secretly want me to fail. It's a cruel truth, and if you don't recognize the signs, you'll easily waste your time and energy on people who, deep down, don't really know you. Face the facts, instead of living in denial. One of the most obvious signs is when someone constantly makes fun of you for your flaws. We all know that some people are sarcastic, especially when those jokes are directed at you. They criticize the way you dress, the way you talk, and even the projects you're working on. While they may say, "I'm just kidding," don't be fooled. These jokes often have a deeper meaning than they seem. I remember a time when I was very close to a friend, and they always had something to criticize, from my clothes to my communication style. At first, I just laughed and thought it was all fun. But over time, I realized that the jokes only focused on my weaknesses and never mentioned my strengths. Very quickly, my confidence began to plummet. I doubted myself and wondered if I was the problem. People who constantly joke about your flaws are not really doing it for the sake of friendship. They are looking for a way to test your limits, a subtle form of manipulation to assert their dominance. They want you to feel inferior to them. And the worst thing is that they can trick you into thinking that you are the one with the problem because you can't handle a joke. Let's flip this scenario. There's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself when jokes cross the line. You deserve genuine respect from those around you, and it's important to stand up for your own worth. Choose people who truly support you. You need to surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who try to tear you down for a cheap laugh. True friends don't need to point out your flaws to make you feel better about yourself. They know how to celebrate your strengths and help you improve yourself without making you look like a fool. I've seen this many times, and it's sad that people choose to ignore inappropriate jokes because they think it's better to avoid causing trouble. But the truth is, letting people disrespect you, even if it's just a small comment, can lead to a very dangerous path. What seems like a harmless joke can wear you down and make you question your self-worth. And the more you feed it, the more they will continue until you doubt yourself, just because you don't want to be seen as too sensitive. I had to learn this lesson the hard way. By just laughing it off, I mistakenly thought I was keeping the peace. But I was actually abetting a lack of self-respect. When I started setting boundaries and speaking up, I noticed a change, not only in how they treated me, but also in how I saw myself. I stopped letting their words define my worth and started taking ownership of my own story. So here's my advice. The next time someone makes a joke about you, don't just laugh it off. Ask yourself if it's really a funny joke or if there's something deeper going on. If the answer is negative, don't be afraid to speak up. It may be annoying and even end the friendship, but your self-esteem can't be compromised by someone else's poor sense of humor. Life is too short to spend your life surrounded by people who don't see your worth. If their friendship is all about criticizing your flaws, it's time to find more worthy friends who truly care about you and don't need to put you down to build themselves up. Stand your ground, speak up, and don't let anyone undermine your worth. There comes a time when you realize that implied compliments may not be compliments at all. Sometimes, someone compliments you, but instead of feeling happy, you feel bitter, like you've been slapped. These compliments need to make you stop and think, is this a genuine compliment or just a ploy to make you lose confidence? Often, these indirect compliments are a subtle way for some people to put you down while still being nice. I remember one time, I spent hours working on a big project that I was very proud of. When I shared it with a group of colleagues, one of them made a witty comment, but deep down, the words reflected bad intentions. It was a really valuable lesson for me to realize where and to whom to place value, recognizing hidden compliments. Someone I once considered a supporter said to me, "Wow, that's actually pretty good for someone like you." I stood there, stunned. On the surface, it seemed like a compliment, but the words were actually a shock. The words "for someone like you" hit me like a slap in the face. Not only did it suggest that I wasn't considered capable, but it also had a deeply controversial meaning. Compliments like these often come with hidden agendas. They're not meant to motivate you, but to keep you in your place in a power game. Such compliments are meant to solidify their position by making you doubt your own abilities. They're sending a signal that says, "I see you're trying, but you'll never be better than me." This is a form of toxicity that comes in a beautiful package, making it easy to miss the toxicity inside. People who criticize with indirect compliments are often insecure in their own skin. They see your potential and strengths, and that scares them. Instead of encouraging you, they prefer to use those flattering words to keep you in a position below them. It's like they're patting you on the back with one hand while holding you back with the other, not letting you reach further. And this is where things get complicated. We've all been in that situation, and while it may not have been with bad intentions, we've allowed our insecurities to show through in compliments that remind others of their place. But here's the message. You don't have to accept these veiled words of hostility. You have the right to reject them, and you have to see them as a reflection of their own insecurities, not a measure of your worth. When someone says you're smarter than you look, or that's pretty good, considering you're new, don't feel pressured to swallow the comment. Dare to say what it is, even if it makes the situation awkward. This is important because otherwise, you're giving them the power to dictate how you see yourself. That's a power you need to hold on to. Never let anyone hurt your self-esteem. I've learned to recognize these compliments as a reflection of someone else's insecurities. When you see them that way, they lose their sting. Instead of feeling bitter about disguised criticism, you can laugh at it, because in the end, it says more about them than it does about you. So now, whenever I receive an indirect compliment, I don't let it go unnoticed. I respond by asking, "Thank you, but what do you mean by that?" This question forces them to confront what they're really thinking and feeling, and it not only helps me defend myself, but it also gives me confidence in how I see my own worth. Define your values and don't accept exclusion. Their words can be deeply insulting, and the funny thing is that when they realize you're not playing their game, their attitude often changes quickly. The bottom line, don't let negativity get to you, whether it's a well-meaning friend, a jealous coworker, or even a family member. Remember that your worth is beyond debate. Sincere compliments should build you up, not tear you down. If someone's words make you doubt yourself, it's time to take a hard look at their intentions. Life is too short to spend time with people who can't genuinely celebrate your success. Seek out relationships with people who truly see your worth and aren't afraid to show it, genuinely, without any conditions. One of the signs to watch for is when your so-called friends subtly exclude you from fun plans. Small actions like suddenly forgetting to invite you to a party or a weekend trip can easily be interpreted as an oversight or last-minute planning. But let's be honest, it's not an accident. It's social exclusion in its most subtle form. It's a clear sign that you're not as appreciated as you think you are. I've experienced this painful feeling many times in the past. One time, I checked my phone over the weekend and saw a group of friends enjoying a great party, one that I really wanted to be at. Surprisingly, no one had mentioned it to me before. When I casually mentioned it, they came up with all sorts of excuses. "Oh, we thought you were busy," or "It was just a last-minute plan." But deep down, I knew the truth. If they really wanted me to attend, they could have made sure I knew about it. This kind of exclusion isn't just thoughtless, it's intentional. It's a way of sending a message without saying it out loud. They don't really want excuses, and convince yourself that they are just a distraction, instead of facing the painful truth that they are being excluded. But the problem is that if you continue to accept those excuses, you are allowing these people to continue to exclude you. You are letting them determine your worth. Don't let that happen. Recognize your self-worth and stand up for yourself. You absolutely deserve positive, authentic relationships. Spend time with people who genuinely love you and celebrate your successes, not those who make you feel small. Only when you are clear about your own worth can you create lasting, positive relationships. From now on, when you feel excluded or shady behavior from others, be bold enough to point it out. You may not only stand up for yourself, but also help them become aware of their own behavior. Life is too short to accept bad treatment. Love yourself more and choose relationships that truly deserve you. Find your place in their life. It took me a long time to realize that sitting quietly in the face of unintentional exclusions is not the way to go. For a long time, I kept hoping for another chance to join, but I gradually realized that by staying silent, I was allowing myself to be overlooked as an afterthought. Finally, I decided to take decisive action. I started speaking up and saying, "Hey, I saw you guys hanging out last weekend. Why didn't anyone invite me?" This wasn't easy and definitely created an awkward atmosphere. However, it forced them to confront their behavior and what had happened to our relationship. Surprisingly, some people became defensive, while others tried to make up for the lack of it. But the message is clear. I will not allow them to exclude me without a fight. If people really want you in their lives, they will make an effort to keep you around, no matter how unexpected the plans are. If they don't, it's time to reevaluate the value of the relationships around you. You shouldn't feel like you're chasing their approval or attention. True friends will always make sure you're there because they truly value your company. If you find yourself being subtly excluded from plans, don't just brush it off, but face it bravely. Ask the tough questions and be willing to listen to answers that aren't what you expected. It's better to be clear about where you stand in the relationship than to wonder why you're being excluded again. Remember, you shouldn't be an option. You should be a priority. Surround yourself with people who treat you like you deserve. Don't let them use the "I'm too busy" excuse to justify not having time for you. We've all heard it. "Sorry, I'm so busy right now, I can't hang out." But what happens when you notice that they're always willing to make time for others? They post pictures of themselves hanging out, meeting friends, but when you show up, they suddenly seem too busy? The hard truth is that they're not really busy. They're just busy with you. I've been in this frustrating situation more times than I'd like to admit. I remember trying to make time to see a close friend, but every time I suggested something, there was always an excuse. "I'm working late," or "I have too much to do." The feelings of being left out and ignored became familiar, and that's when I was forced to ask, am I really that important to them? The key to overcoming these challenges is to be clear about your self-worth. When you identify relationships that are unfair and unsustainable, you have the power to change the direction of your life. You deserve genuine friends who are willing to give you their time and attention. Pursue meaningful friendships where you are a priority, not an afterthought. Reevaluate your relationship. You may be witnessing your friends hanging out, having a great time with other people, while you are constantly left behind. As time went on, I began to notice clear signs that I was no longer a priority in their lives. These messages rang out loudly, forcing me to reconsider my position. We have been conditioned to accept other people's busyness as a valid reason to be excluded from their lives. But let's be honest, people make time for who and what they care about. If they are constantly busy with you, it's not about their schedule, it's about who they prioritize in their lives. This is hard to swallow. It forces you to face a painful truth. You may not be as important to them as they think you are. The reality is that busy is often just a polite way of saying, "I don't want to spend time with you." It's easier for them to blame their busy schedules than to admit that they chose not to include you in their lives. This is a passive-aggressive way of keeping their distance without having to face the harsh reality that they don't need you. This creates a relationship where you're an option, not a priority. I've been on both sides of this issue. I've had to make excuses once because I didn't know how to tell someone I was over the friendship. But being on the receiving end taught me a valuable lesson. This tricky situation reminded me that being honest, even if it hurts, is better than making excuses. When I finally called my friend to talk about how busy they were, the conversation was awkward but necessary. It helped me gain the insight I needed to not only be in that relationship, but also to realize that I was worthy of a more sincere relationship. The important message here is that your time and energy are valuable. Don't waste them on people who don't want to spend time with you. If someone is constantly busy when you bring up hanging out, it's time to consider whether the relationship needs to grow. You deserve to be with people who are genuinely happy to see you, who make an effort to include you in their lives, not just when it's convenient for them, but because they truly value your company. Remember that people and relationships change. Sometimes we hold on to people who are no longer a good fit for us out of habit, attachment, or fear of being alone. However, letting go of unhealthy relationships is a powerful thing, allowing you to realize that you deserve more than what someone has left. This doesn't mean you need to demand all of their attention and time, but you need to value yourself enough to avoid relationships that aren't worth it. If you feel like someone is avoiding you, take the time to consider why. You deserve friends who appreciate and love you, not people who make excuses and put you second fiddle. Look for relationships where you're not just an option, but an integral part of their lives. The elephant in the room: lack of physical touch. We live in a world where avoiding physical contact is considered a plague. And this isn't just in romantic relationships. In fact, physical contact is an essential part of connecting and building trust between people. When someone deliberately avoids even casual gestures like handshakes or pats on the back, it's not just a matter of reluctance or confusion. It actually sends a clear signal that they're not comfortable around you. And that's when you need to take notice. I had an experience with a coworker who used to back away whenever I reached out to shake their hand or give them a friendly pat on the back. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but after a while, I realized that my brain wasn't wrong. They seemed warm and friendly to others, but when they were with me, they felt like I had some sort of disease. The physical distance gradually became a wall between us. And after a while, I understood that their avoidance of physical contact wasn't simply a quirk. It was a conscious effort to keep me at a distance. We need to acknowledge that physical contact is a natural, fundamental part of human interaction. When someone consistently avoids this contact, it signals a lack of comfort, or even a disconnect. While some people may be uncomfortable with touch, and that's perfectly acceptable, when this reluctance is selective. When they're comfortable hugging others, but stiff when interacting with you, it's a red flag that something is wrong in the relationship. You may have been in a situation where you wonder why someone always seems awkward around you. This can make you feel self-conscious, and it often indicates that your relationship with that person is not as solid as you would like it to be. The deeper truth is that physical contact is not just a surface connection, but also a way for us to express trust, warmth, and empathy. When someone avoids physical contact with you, they are not simply avoiding touching you. They are avoiding closeness, intimacy, and possible vulnerability. I have learned to pay attention to these signs, although it can be hard to accept. There have been times when I have ignored the signals, convincing myself that someone's reluctance is part of their personality. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that the problem is not with them, but with our relationship. When I finally decided to confront the situation, it led to some much-needed conversations. We discussed our feelings and discomforts openly. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it cleared up some misunderstandings and opened up a new dimension to our relationship. Sometimes, the best way to address underlying issues is to talk about them directly, even though it may feel uncomfortable. Instead of letting the silence drag on, have the courage to confront them. This not only allows you to figure out where you stand in the relationship, but it also helps build a strong connection where both of you feel comfortable and respected. Remember, physical contact isn't just about the physical. It's also about our emotions and psychology. When you have trouble expressing this, you need to figure out why, and know that there's nothing wrong with asking for closeness and intimacy. It's just part of human nature. The truth about true friends in tough times. It's tough, and in some cases, it's the end of relationships, but it also frees me from the frustration of wondering why things don't seem right. This is a very important message. Never ignore the signs when someone is avoiding physical contact with you. This is not only a reflection of personal preferences, but also their comfort level and connection with you. If you notice a pattern of avoidance, be bold enough to address it. This may open up deeper insights into the relationship you're in, or it may even reveal that it's not as strong as you thought. Either way, it's better to face the truth than to live in denial. You deserve relationships where you continue to. Physical contact is not something to be avoided. It is something that comes naturally and comfortably. Whether it is a friendly hug, a handshake, or simply sitting close together without feeling awkward, these small gestures build trust and connection. If someone is constantly avoiding you, it is a worrying sign that something is wrong. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. If necessary, make the hard decisions. Life is too short to be around people who keep you at a distance, both physically and emotionally. If they disappear when you need support, be realistic and realize that nothing exposes the true nature of a relationship like times of crisis. When things get tough, you find out who is truly on your side. So what does it say about someone when they disappear when you need them the most? It's not simply a sign of weakness, but also a clear warning that they are not as invested in you as you thought. In the face of hardship, if someone disappears in your darkest hour, it is not only hurtful, it is also betrayal. I learned this lesson the hard way during a particularly difficult period in my life. When I was facing a major personal issue, it really hit me hard. Naturally, I turned to people I considered close friends, hoping for some level of support, even if it was just a quick text or call to check in. But the painful reality set in. People I thought would be there for me suddenly disappeared, giving all sorts of excuses and reasons. Sorry, I'm so busy with work, or I'm really busy right now, I'll get back to you later. But unfortunately, these promises often stop there. They never really came back. It was these difficult moments that highlighted the contentious nature of our relationships. Many people always promise that they will always be by your side, but when the time comes, many of them are only there when things are favorable, when things are stable and happy. They will party with you, laugh with you, and enjoy the great moments in life. However, when you face big challenges, these people do not show their willingness to be the one to support you. When I realized this, I could not help but think about the value of the relationships I had. I began to analyze and reevaluate the people I considered friends, and realized that those who truly understood and were willing to be there for me in difficult times were the ones I was worth my time and emotional investment. Use these lessons to improve and shape your relationships. Never forget, you deserve to have people around you who truly appreciate you and are willing to stand by you through the light and the dark. Put yourself in a position where you have friends who you know will always be there for you, creating a strong support network for your life. Protect yourself from relationship fakes. People who you think will be there for you in times of trouble can disappear when the real thing hits. They easily ignore you, don't want to deal with the pain or hardship you're going through, because deep down, they don't care enough to be there for you when you need them. Let's be honest, true support isn't about convenience. It's about being there when things get tough, even when you don't want it to be. When people disappear when you need them most, they're not just showing indifference. They're showing you exactly where you stand in their lives. They're saying, without words, that your problems aren't important enough to them to make time for. It's been heartbreaking to realize that people I've been there for, through breakups, family tragedies, or career failures, don't return my affection. This was a wake-up call, and an unpleasant one, but it was also a lesson I needed to learn. Not everyone who smiles at you is really there for you. The message here is that support is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. It's easy to be there when things are going well, but the true test of a relationship is how people react when things fall apart. If someone disappears when you need them most, they're not just letting you down. They're showing you that they were never really there in the first place. Don't let their absence make you bitter. Use it as a lesson, a filter to filter out the people who don't deserve a place in your life. The people who stay, who check in, who show up even when it's inconvenient, are the ones who really matter. Those are the relationships you should nurture and cherish. Ultimately, life is too short to invest time and energy in low-quality friends. Surround yourself with people who will stand by you in the storm, not just bask in the sunshine during the good times. When you find those rare individuals who will stick around when things get tough, you've found something worth keeping. As for those who disappear, let them go. They've shown you who they really are, and that's what counts. Furthermore, when they talk behind your back, it's not just a breach of trust, it's an attack on your reputation. Gossip is like social poison, spreading faster than wildfire and can burn down a relationship in the blink of an eye. The problem with gossip is that it's never as harmless as people think. When someone you consider a friend talks behind your back, they're not just sharing a harmless story. They're taking action to damage your trust and reputation. Be realistic. When they talk badly about you, it's a clear sign that they don't respect you. Ask yourself, if they would do that to you, would they do the same if there was someone else in the mix? Real relationships are built on trust and respect, not gossip. Finally, protect yourself by always being honest with each other. Whenever you feel something is wrong in your relationship, don't hesitate to clarify and ask for what you deserve. We deserve to have people around us who truly care, not only in the good times, but also in the most difficult times. Enjoy positive and meaningful relationships and remove the toxic ones from your life. Dealing with bad words, a painful lesson. No matter how friendly and open people may appear to you, nothing is secure in a relationship without respect and trust. I have been a victim of gossip, and I can tell you that it was one of the most painful experiences I have ever faced. I once confided in someone I thought was a close friend about a personal problem, a burden that I needed to share. And I trusted that person to keep this secret between us. But within days, details of that conversation began to circulate, not only distorted but also blatantly exaggerated. It was like a game of telephone. But unlike that game, my message was not only lost, but was used as a weapon against me. The person I trusted turned my vulnerability into entertainment for others, making me feel as if the trust I had placed in them had been betrayed. The sad thing is that people who gossip about you are not simply venting their pain or sharing their concerns. They are actually playing a power game. They use gossip as a way to elevate themselves while putting you down without ever confronting you. It is cowardly, manipulative, and toxic. Gossip not only damages your reputation, it also strikes at the foundation of trust, an essential element of any truly deep relationship. Let's be clear, people who are willing to gossip about others to you will certainly not hesitate to gossip about you to others. It's a pattern, not a one-off. I've seen it happen so often I can't count. Someone who is used to revealing other people's secrets will suddenly go quiet around you, and you never know what they might be gossiping about when you're not around. Face. It's the worst kind of betrayal, because it happens in the dark, without giving you a chance to defend yourself or even know what's being said about you. When I finally confronted the friend I caught gossiping about me, I expected at least an apology or an explanation. But instead of getting sympathy, they acted like it wasn't a big deal and dismissed it as just a harmless conversation. But the thing is, gossip is never harmless. It's simple betrayal, and it says a lot about the person who spreads it. Seeing someone's true colors can be painful at times, but it's a necessary lesson. People who won't let you down in times of trouble, or who are willing to make fun of your weaknesses, are not people you want in your life. Likewise, when you go through these experiences, use them as an opportunity to become more aware of your self-worth and what you deserve. You don't need people who will only be around when you're happy. You deserve people who will be there for you, even when you're down. People who will respect you and keep the trust you've built with them. Finally, learn to take betrayal seriously and firmly. If someone has hurt you once, be careful not to give them a second chance. In life, you will always meet people who may not be as serious and sincere as you expect, but you have the right to choose who is truly worthy of your trust and time. Thank you for watching this video on the Stoic Wisdom channel. Together, we have explored valuable lessons about respect and trust in relationships, as well as how to recognize the signs of betrayal. Remember that you deserve friends and relationships that truly enrich you, along with those who are willing to put up with the hard work and stick by your side. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Leave your thoughts in the comments. We look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, stay strong, keep your self-respect, and always cherish the positive relationships in your life. See you in the next Stoic Wisdom videos.